Could be good news, could be bad news, might not even be arsed. It all depends on what you were hoping to happen with Nayef Aguerd this summer. If, like myself, you were hoping to see West Ham cash in, then it's good news. However, if you were on the other side of the fence and you were hoping to see Nayef Aguerd get a second chance at West Ham under Graham Potter next season, especially with us potentially playing a back three more often, then it could be bad news, because the latest reports suggest that Aguerd is in talks with Marseille and he's been attracted to their project. They, of course, finished runners-up to PSG in the league and got Champions League football next season. So they seem the favourites to sign Aguerd at the minute. The same reports are suggesting that West Ham are hoping to get back most of, if not all of, their outlay of 32 million, which seems a little bit high for me. We can get 32 million. I will be very, very impressed. I think we are perhaps looking at 20, 25 million in between there. What you want and what you predict are usually two different things, especially when it comes to David Sullivan, West Ham United. So my prediction is we will get 24 million or something for Nayef Aguerd. But there could be a bit more to push that price up a little bit, because Real Sociedad are still interested, of course, after a successful loan spell. And Bayer Leverkusen are still interested as well. So there's three big clubs looking to get Aguerd. On the other side of it, the other side of the reporting is that Aguerd has asked West Ham if he could not come back to the club for pre-season. He doesn't wish to come back. I'm not going to go in two-footed on him, because that report could be inaccurate, and I'd feel bad if I sat here calling him this, that and the other and he rocks up on the first day of training. The training camp, by the way, is supposed to be in Austria, so they could be off to Austria for their training as always. And I'd feel a bit of a mug if he came back. So I'm going to take that report with a pinch of salt. However, I don't really blame him, because this is the danger. If you're going to make it known to everyone, you're going to plead poverty and make it known to everyone that everyone's up for sale bar a couple of players. And the report in Daily Mail said West Ham would be inclined to reject a £200 million bid for Jared Bowen. That would never happen. I know it's hypothetical, right? I get it. But it's very easy to reject a hypothetical bid of 200 million. If someone did bid 200, if someone bid 150 million for Jared Bowen, there's no chance they reject. And do you know what? They shouldn't be rejecting it either. But anyway, it was part of the report, and it made me smile. It was funny, because it's laughable, really. But anyway, in regards to Aguerd, if you are going to make it known to everyone, everyone's up for sale bar Wan-Bissaka and Bowen, there's got to be a domino effect to that, which is you're going to make players feel unwanted. Andy Irving's with Scotland at the minute, and he was asked about his lack of game time at West Ham. He just said he was disappointed not to get more, and that he thought he did well with the opportunity he had. And that as a footballer, you want to keep going with momentum. You get an opportunity, you want to keep going. But he never got that, and he wasn't too sure why. And it's hard not to listen to it and feel a bit sorry for him, actually, because I thought he maybe deserved some more minutes when it's a bit different. If you're competing with Jared Bowen at West Ham, I think it's understandable why you're not getting loads of minutes. If Suval said, I think I deserve more, you turn around and say, well, actually, you were up against Wan-Bissaka. It's not really your fault. But actually, with Irving, when he's pointing at the central midfield at West Ham this season, goes, well, I could maybe have had more chances. I'm inclined to agree with him. But my point is, there is an impact of that, of the lack of minutes, but also the messaging coming out from the club, because we are supposedly ready to cash in on Andy Irving as well. So players will be aware of this. Aguerd will have been made to feel unwanted. Now, I've got my sympathy only runs so deep for him because of the way he was with us when the African Cup of Nations came around. When do we call the season that's finished last season? I'm calling it this. Is it still this season or is it last season? When do we do the switch over from next season to this season? When's the official switch? Is it when pre-season starts? I think so. So this last season, 18 months ago now, that January 2024, that one. When he supposedly refused to play for us and he was prioritising playing for his country. I understand it, but it's not the attitude you want to hear. Anyway, apparently he's asked West Ham not to come back to pre-season training. It doesn't surprise me, and I don't blame him either. I don't have any anger towards him. I just hope that we can get this resolved quickly, and the way to resolve this quickly is to sell him. And there's a lot of focus on Kudus at the minute, understandably, because Chelsea have made their move. Arsenal apparently interested. There's clubs looking at Kudus. But actually, Aguerd is still worth a lot of money. Selling Aguerd would allow us, A, to get on with our business, but B, it would maybe allow us to be tougher in negotiations with Kudus. Because if we were to, when I said whatever you think we'll get from Aguerd, I don't think we'll be too far apart, generally. I think everybody would be between 20 and 30 million. I think everyone will be plucking figures out there. Some might drop beneath 20 million, some might go above 30, but I think the majority of people watching this video, well, let me know in the comments what you think we will get for Nayef Aguerd. I think it'll be 20 something million generally, but there's not a lot of difference, right? There's a few million swing, if you like. But with Kudus, it's quite a big one, isn't it? It could be 50, it could be 60, it could be 70. As the Saudis get involved, you're looking at the upper end. If they don't, you're looking at the lower end. There's a huge swing. And I think if you can get Aguerd gone quick for 23 million or something, it would allow Macaulay, Sullivan and Potter to start doing transfer business, bringing them in. Because Aguerd is, for selling, West Ham selling Aguerd in PSR terms, it's very beneficial because we signed him 3 years ago now. Selling him and we get a good fee for him, it's beneficial PSR wise. It actually gives us a lot of leeway in terms of the PSR side of it. Now, put to one side whether you believe everything or not the club are saying, let's just take them at face value, which is because of PSR. I still think it's because of cash flow, but let's just go with it. Because of PSR, we have to sell, fine. Well, we're going to hold you to that, and that is when we sell Aguerd, we're now expecting business to be done. Because you can't just change your tune and say, oh, actually, it's because of cash flow rather than PSR. You've been claiming it's, through unofficial sources, of course, you've been claiming it's because of PSR. But moving Aguerd on early, I think, allows us to maybe just be a bit stronger in negotiations over Mohamed Kudus. And we might miss out on a couple of million with Aguerd, but I think the gain on the Kudus deal would supersede that by quite some distance as well, actually. It might even put you in a position where you perhaps don't have to sell Kudus if you don't want to. I just think we do want to. So moving Aguerd on would be good. It'll be one of those where we never seen the best of him. It's not a flop of a transfer. I don't consider it to be a flop of a transfer. I think we bought a good player who unfortunately got injured at Ibrox in pre-season. And from then on, it was sort of a difficult one for him to get back. In the Premier League, I don't think he was best suited to the league. I think in the air, I think he's quite poor. And I think that's a bit of a dodgy area. If you're going to be a centre-back in the Premier League, I think you need to be quite strong in that department. But he's definitely a fine footballer and he's definitely a good centre-back. I can understand when people wanted Aguerd to get another opportunity under Graham Potter. I understood it. It's not like I thought, I don't understand. I don't get that. I completely get why you would. Just not for me. 20-something million, 25 million. And I'm happy with that one. Right, we've got some more chit-chat to get through. Nothing too exciting in this one. You've probably seen it all before, but I'm just going to chuck my opinions out and get you to chuck your opinions in the comments below. But just want to remind you, we've got a sale on at our online store, a closing down sale. Not everything must go, but most things must go, including the Irons on Tour mug. There you go. It's got the venues, dates where we went on our run to Prague before we won the Conference League. And we've got our Noble mug as well, the Last Dance mug. One of my favourite ones. We've done that. That's one of my favourite designs. Anyway, £5, £6, both reduced from a tenner. There you go. hammerschatstore.com. There's loads of other stuff on sale. Thank you very much to you lot who have picked up an item or two. Links in the description below and pinned comments. Right then. Bromby striker, Kvaratskhelia, 12 million. That's the price tag. That's what I was going to say. If we do sell Kudus and Aguerd early enough at this point, that would give us 90 million, I think. Can we say 65 and 25 is fair for both those players? I think that's fair. That would give us 90 million cash to spend this summer. That's a decent sum of money to get going with before you sell anyone else or put any additional money in. That's a decent amount of money to play with. And if we can get them out quick, that puts us in a strong position. We can go from a weak position to a strong position very quickly if we can sell Aguerd and Kudus sharpish. That's the problem. And a lot of the players we've been linked to, like Kvaratskhelia, they're all around that 10, 15, 20 million pound bracket, aren't they? Same with the striker Stassen, who we're still being linked to. What was it, 17 million pounds? Kvaratskhelia, £12 million. The midfielders are around £15-20 million as well. I think that's a type of money we are going to be spending on our. I'll be surprised we buy anyone over 25 million. I think that's the maximum we'll go to this summer for one particular player. Even the goalkeepers we're being linked to, I still don't think we'll buy one, but Ramsdale, 20 million. I don't think we've been linked to anyone for over 20 million yet. It's all around that sort of price tag, and I think that's what we'll see. So therefore, keeping it simple, offloading Kudus and Aguerd, you might find that you're able to bring in 4 or even 5 players on the long short list. Do you remember that phrase that was used a couple of weeks ago? I was going to take the piss out of it in the video and forgot, but apparently West Ham had a long short list. It's not a short list then, is it? It's just a long list. The word is in the word, short list. Anyway, moving on. The club have confirmed we've signed Todibo and we're not signing Sola and Ferguson. Thank them for their efforts. Not sure they really mean it when it comes to Nayef and Ferguson, but they're going back to PSG and Brighton, so won't be signing those, unsurprisingly. Graham Potter's back from holiday, for those that care. I was surprised at how many people did care. You know, sometimes I see something, I think, oh, that's going to get a reaction, and it does, and I get it. But there was a lot of people complaining about Potter being on holiday. I just didn't get it. I thought, well, good. I'm glad he is on holiday. And rather he goes on holiday once the season's finished than at any other point in the next 12 months. This is the time he does go on holiday. But anyway, he's back now apparently, but he's not going to get too hands-on. That's Macaulay's job, and the Mail are claiming Callum Macaulay is more of a calm planner rather than a lastminute.com type person when it comes to the transfer window. Which is interesting considering this is the first time he's been in charge of a transfer window. So I don't know what they're basing that on, but that's what we've been told in regards to Kyle Macaulay. Now, the reports we've had this week was that Potter didn't want any of the Chelsea players, which just felt really unbelievable that Potter doesn't want Robertson. I do not subscribe to that idea. Potter doesn't like Robert Sanchez. I'm pretty confident he does. So when that report came out about Chelsea and Kudus and saying Potter doesn't want any of the players, I thought, I'm not believing that. I believe that he perhaps doesn't want Chukwuemeka, for example. Yeah, fine. But that he wants none of them. But anyway, the reports since then have come out that actually Graham Potter does like Robert Sanchez, and he also likes Petrovic as well, 2 goalkeepers we've already discussed. Now, I'm going to bring up a graph. So, for those people that don't like statistics in football, they don't like XG, now's the time to go. Here's your warning, because there's a graph away to appear on the screen in a few seconds' time, and you're going to hate it. So, tune out now. Get on with your Friday evening. Get on with your weekend. Thank you for tuning in. Please do drop a like on the video before you disappear. Subscribing to Hamish Chat. But for those of you who are either really nosy, do like a little bit of data, or you can't skip the video at this point. Maybe you're prepping dinner. Some people watch Hamish Chat in the bath. Maybe you're out walking, you can't reach your phone. You're stuck. Tough. And you're going to be stuck as well, because this is a visual thing. Anyway, so this chart here. So along the bottom, you've got saves per 90 minute. Simple. Up the vertical axis, you've got prevented goals per 90. Just bear with me. So every time someone takes a shot, there's an expected goals number attached to that. How likely is the person to score that shot? And they take everything into consideration. Where they are, the angle, the power, the type of shot. They take everything into consideration. And that shot gets a value called expected goals. So obviously, therefore, keepers are now facing a certain amount of expected goals every game. So what you can do is you can have a look at that. You can have a look at how many goals they've actually conceded. A little bit of subtraction, and you've got the difference, either a positive one, so they're saving more than they expected to, or they're conceding more than they're expected to. You with me? So minus is bad, positive is good, right? Let's bring this back up. So you've got the 0 running right through the middle there. Now I've circled the current West Ham goalkeeper. So the top right one in red is Fabianski. Now the size of the circle, as in the dot, equates to minutes played. So Fabianski didn't play loads of minutes. It's a smaller circle than some of his other goalkeepers in his league. The red dots are all the Premier League goalkeepers. So Fabianski was actually the second best performing goalkeeper in the Premier League in terms of goals prevented from expected goals conceded. Number one, that big red one to the left, is Sells of Nottingham Forest, which is fair. I think that matches up with what you'd expect. Alphonse Areola is the red one in the middle at the bottom with the big red circle around it. That's Alphonse Areola. He was the 25th worst goalkeeper in the Premier League out of 30. So 30 keepers played in the Premier League last season, this season, whatever. I don't know if we've switched over yet. Alphonse Areola was ranking 25 out of 30. Not great. So Fabianski was making more saves per 90 and also preventing more goals than he should have. Now, the two in yellow are the goalkeepers we're linked to the most. On the far right, you've got Aaron Ramsdale. So he's making a lot of saves, conceding more than he should do, but he's making a lot of saves. And then perhaps surprisingly, right in the middle at the top there with the yellow circle is Robert Sanchez. He was one of the best performing goalkeepers in the league. He was the fourth best performing goalkeeper in the Premier League for expected saves. Now, Ramsdale should add where he is. He was 20th out of 30. Robert Sanchez was a fourth. Now, I should have really circled him, but I forgot. Above Lucas Fabianski, directly above Lucas Fabianski, you can see a purple dot, and that is Petrovic, the other Chelsea goalkeeper, but because he was on loan at Strasbourg, that's why he's in purple, because that's the French goalkeeper. So Petrovic was preventing a lot of goals. I mean, the third best goalkeeper out of every single goalkeeper to play in the top 5 leagues of European football last season. Petrovic is number 3 out of every single one of them, making a decent amount of saves per game as well. So there you go. For anyone that likes to get a little bit geeky now and again, so what does that tell us? What tells us Lucas Fabianski was fantastic, tells us that Areola was not so great, Ramsdale was not so great, Sanchez was really good, but here's the other thing. What that graph doesn't show you, Robert Sanchez had 5 big mistakes leading to goals conceded, more than anyone else in the league this season. I've come round to the idea of loaning someone, as in, I think it's because I think it's going to happen, which is Sanchez or Ramsdale. We're going to loan one of them. I've almost convinced myself that's going to happen. And I've sort of come round to it a little bit. But the problem is, I think we'll see them play, then come out, Areola goes in because of poor form, and then gets swapped round. I think we'll have this changing of the gloves next season at West Ham if that's one of the goalkeepers we bring in. We'll wait and see. I think we'll sign a goalkeeper soon. I've just got a feeling that one of the goalkeepers will get cleared up soon, because obviously we're coming to the point now where most players know, not all, Callum Wilson and John Ruddy, for example, both at Newcastle. Newcastle have released their retained list and said, oh, we're still in negotiations with these two, so they might get a new deal, they might not. So John Ruddy might be available if anyone fancies him as the number 2 goalkeeper next season. But I think that's an area that's going to be getting fulfilled quickly in the summer transfer window. Anyway, there you go. For those that like getting their geek on, there's a little graph for you. Whenever I see them, I don't make it, by the way. I should just say, I don't make that graph. I would give credit to the person, but they haven't got their watermark on it, so I can't recall who made it. But I see them often, and I save them because I like them, and then I go and fact check it. So when this one came out, I went over onto Scout and checked out the expected prevented goals from, well, Areola and Fabianski. Both were correct, so I went, okay, the chart is accurate. Anyway, I'm off. Whatever you're up to this weekend, I hope you have a fantastic one. I've enjoyed the Nations League this week. Scotland are on tonight in a friendly, against Iceland. And here's something to demotivate you, though. Steve Clark got asked, after we got pumped by Greece, Steve Clark got asked, I've got a friendly. And you've obviously got a few players in the squad who, like Lennon, for example, who perhaps haven't played much for Scotland. Are you going to experiment? And he said, well, you know what I'm like. I don't like to experiment. Anyway, I'm off to watch that game tonight. I'll catch up with you tomorrow. Thank you very much.